PhD isn't the only option out there. Could you tell our audience what all they can explore in ecology and conservation after completing their bachelor's or master's?
Wow, okay. So there are really many options, and people usually get fixated onto the traditional path of you do your BSc, then you do your MSc, then you go for PhD. After you do your PhD, either you search for faculty position somewhere or you do a postdoc. I'm not saying that's bad, but that may not be for everybody. Okay, people may not want to put in so much effort and time into PhD. So just because that is the only path you know or you have come across, my advice is that just don't take a PhD just because everybody else is doing it. There are many other things that you can do. For example, right now, what is happening right now, science communication, that is one of the areas which has whole lot of potential. We always keep saying that there needs to be a crosstalk between scientists and common people. But how? Who is going to do it? Scientists may or may not have time or willingness or resources or whatever to go out and actually talk to people. So if there are initiatives like EcoRE, who try to build these kind of connections between people and scientific community, we can do a whole lot of things just by communicating science to people. So science communication can be a career. Literally, it can be a career if we think creatively. Okay. Along with science communication, there can be public awareness in general about science. There are nowadays a lot of citizen science projects that are coming up. Okay, so they have a huge potential involving people into research. Common citizens, they may not have even science background, but they can do scientific research. And so involving people into scientific research, which is called as citizen science, is picking up nowadays. So one can think about career in citizen science. Journalism is an excellent avenue. We need people who can communicate science or any environment, any general issues in proper way to public. Okay, so journalism is a very good, again, another field in which one can get into. We need people who are doing actually ecology or who have training in ecology to get into journalism. Otherwise, we all just keep reviewing, kya report kiya hai? This is nonsense. They have put some false statements, half-baked stories. So why not get into journalism, somebody, right? One can also go into science or green policy making. Scientists all the time keep cribbing that the policies are not very friendly to the scientists. There should be somebody who understands how science is done. So if people who have done science, people who have done ecological research, if they get into policy making, it is so much better because you understand what happens in ecology research. What are the constraints? What is it that the ecology community needs? What are the requirements? And then you get into policy. It can be an excellent avenue. Okay, people can go into forest services. Very few people think about doing that. You give competitive exams after doing your masters or whatever and get into IFS services. Nowadays in big institutes, there are grant management people who are needed. You can get into that. There are a lot of businesses which can be built around environmental assessment, impact assessment. Okay. Now a lot of companies have these kind of in the law, they need to follow that law. They need to do environmental impact assessment depending on what kind of business they are doing. So if people who are doing ecological research or know about ecological research, they need to get into these kind of positions, or they have to build consultancies, businesses for environmental impact assessment. One can, of course, turn to conservation. There are a lot of NGOs who are doing it. on ground studies, landscape restoration. There is a lot of scope in finding green solutions these days. So people who are doing ecology can get into green solutions. For example, there are a lot of products which people are bringing out for sustainable living, green architecture, waste management, something to do with smart cities, planning of the smart cities, so that urban ecology takes, at least is brought into consideration while we are thinking about smart cities. So there are so many different areas that ecologists can get into. We just need to think, again, I don't want to use the cliche, but for lack of better words, I would say think out of the box. Don't get into the same path that I have to do BSc, MSc, and PhD, and that's the only way I have. You can have multiple different avenues open to you.
If you learned something new today, please do like and share this video with your family and friends. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel to get updates on future videos. See you next time with another ecology research explained.